deed and memorandum of agreement between the TESDA. Also, Madam Chair, item number 6, also letter from the City Mayor requesting for passage of a resolution authorizing to enter into a deed of donation with Mr. Julio Belba, represented by Engineer Fernando Ranyola, pertaining to the access road going to Liberty Subdivision. And another, Madam Chair, under new business, item number 5, also a letter from the City Mayor requesting for authority to enter into the deed of donation with the Naga City Police Station to jumpstart the process for PNP to allocate necessary resources for the establishment of uh, PNP uh, PNP substation. I so move, Madam Chair. Another, also, Madam Chair, item number 7 of the special business or order is a resolution of condolences to the bereaved family of the late former Barangay Kagawad Lilia Gomez of Barangay Bagong Bayan Sur. I so move, Madam Chair.
Of the SBO, the letter of the City Mayor requesting for authority to enter into a deed or MO or a memorandum of agreement with TESDA.
On joint and collective.
TESDA. As item number 6, the request of the City Mayor for authority to enter into a deed of donation with Mr. Julio Huelba Jr. Ano pa? Another, the proposed resolution of condolences to the bereaved family of the late former Barangay Kagawad Gomez, Bagumbayan Sur. Unfinished business, item number 2, the letter dated July 29, 2020 from the Honorable City Mayor requesting for enactment of an ordinance authorizing him to institute an expropriation case against Ms. Rosita Rotsa for the purpose of acquiring 4,190 square meter portion of her property in Barangay Balatas. This is intended as site of several government facilities, including the high school and
here. We cannot yet pass the required expropriation ordinance unless we have the specific source of fund for which the appropriation will be taken to pay at least 15% of the fair market value of the property as appearing in the latest tax declaration. So, if the certification can be handed to us prior to the adjournment of today's regular session, then I think we can act on that. But for the meantime, I move that we temporarily defer consideration of this item pending receipt of the certification as to the source of fund. Thank you.
the letter dated July 29, 2020 of Mr. Raul Oliver, ITO Head, addressed to Honorable Elmer S. Baldemoro as Chairman of the Committee on Rules and Privileges, requesting for time to present the recommendations on the proposed plan to conduct sessions and committee hearings using video conferencing technology.
Refer to Committee on Rules, Madam Chair.
Rules. Extension.
presented, Madam Chair.
There is no, Your Honor, there is no mention about the specific.
Oh, but it's not
Madam
asking
Chair.
for time.
Madam Chair, the request is to have them a time to present.
Uh,
They will present in the committee, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair. So,
but Madam, but maybe we can make the presentation on the floor already, because that will involve the entire Sangguniang also. We might
the
have
body
to
agrees,
ask them
Madam
again to
Chair.
present. In the next regular session.
yes, Madam. So instead of referring this to the committee, Madam Chair, may I move to invite Mr. Ruel Oliver on the next session to present to us the requirement for a teleconference.
So the City Secretary is instructed to invite Mr. Ruel Oliver for his presentation. Next item.
The letter dated July 28, 2020 of the Honorable City Mayor requesting for a resolution authorizing him to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Information and Communication Technology for Digital Job PH Technical Training Project.
Digital job technical training. A joint and collective motion, a resolution approved. Next.
The report of the Committee on Ways and Means.
Committee on Ways and Means, Honorable Salvador del Castillo.
Madam Chair, in behalf of the Chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, I will be rendering the report of the committee. So, before I proceed, Madam Chair, may I move for the acknowledgement of the report?
Your report is acknowledged.
This is the report of the Committee on Ways and Means for the committee hearing held last July 30. Item number 1 is letter dated March 5, 2020 of Marjorie Manabat, Director Ateneo de Naga University, Ateneo de Manila University, School of Social Sciences, requesting for an exemption to the amusement tax due for each of the film to be shown in Naga City in connection with the important Spring Film Festival on April 30 to May 3, 2020. May I go directly to the disposition, Madam Chair? Disposition on motion duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palansod to consider the same as not applicable since the show did not happen. So move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Okay.
Item number 2 is letter dated June 25, 2020 of Mr. Hiner Compuesto, President Pasalubong Section MIPO, requesting to waive the rental fees for the month of May 2020 and for the month of June 2020 onwards on an installment basis without interest and penalties until such time that the normal operation will be restored. Disposition. The committee decided to wait for the mayor's recommendation on this and similar matters. So the committee just noted this matter, Madam Chair, and wait for the recommendation of the mayor.
Okay, so it's not read.
Item number 3 is letter dated July 8, 2020 of Miss Nicole Ayon Malik, owner in Diners Gilligan Restaurant, Robinson's Naga Branch, addressed to the city mayor requesting to waive the penalty imposed on delayed payment of quarterly business tax establishment. And together with that is item number 4, a letter dated July 8, 2020 of Mr. Nico Alexander Alquiros, owner Nicader Six Food Gilligan Restaurant, Vista Mall Naga Branch, address to the City Mayor requesting to waive the penalty charges that has been imposed in the assessment of their second quarterly business tax because of their failure to pay the said tax before the deadline as set by the BPLO. Disposition. On motion duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palansod to wait for the recommendation of the City Mayor if his request is applicable even to private entities. Furthermore, the committee requests the City Treasurer's Office data of their computation, how much it will cost the city and how much will have been if there will be penalty imposition. So, Madam Chair, as to the first disposition, the same as item number 2, we'll just wait for the request of the City Mayor.
Okay, noted.
And as far as the second disposition is concerned, I move that we direct the Secretary to write the City Treasurer with regards to the disposition of the committee. So move, Madam Chair. Item number 5 is letter dated July 16, 2020 of Mr. Ferdinand Chia, President, MNCCI, furnishing copy of MNCCI Resolution number 2020-006. Disposition. On motion of this representation, duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palansod to refer the matter to the City Treasurer and the City Legal Officer for their opinion on recommendation and to submit the recommendation within 10 days from receipt thereof. And an additional, Madam Chair, that in the City Treasurer's recommendation, she should look into the opinion rendered by the Bureau of Local Government Finance with regards to the to matters pertaining to real property taxation. So move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
Item number 6 is proposed ordinance authored by Honorable Jose Perez. An ordinance prescribing rate for the use of the city-owned four-wheel drive Kubota Palay tractor stationed at the city nursery in Barangay Carolina, Naga City. Disposition. On motion of this representation, seconded by Honorable Jose Perez, Honorable Gil Rosales, and Honorable Jose Arniola, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palansod to pass an ordinance prescribing rental rate for the use of the city-owned four-wheel drive Kubota Palay tractor stationed at the Naga City Nursery in Barangay Carolina, Naga City. So, Madam Chair, I move that we pass that ordinance, and with that, may I request the principal proponent for the formal motion.
Honorable Perez?
Approval of the ordinance.
Any second?
Second.
Okay, approved.
Item number 7 is later dated February 20, 2020 of Engineer Virgilio Luansing, General Manager, MNWD, submitting comments on the proposed ordinance entitled An Ordinance Mandating the Quality Testing and Water Use Assessment in Naga City. This is authored by the Honorable Jose Arniola. Disposition. On motion duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palansod to refer back the proposal to the proponent, Honorable Jose Arniola, to also submit the budgetary requirement for the operation, including the personal complement in connection with that ordinance. So move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
Item number 8 is later dated October 21, 2019 of Mrs. Gregoria Nilda Bunal. City Treasurer submitting report of the auction sale from 2009 to 2016. Disposition on motion duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Panlunsod to just take note of the matter. So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay, this was noted.
Item number 9 is letter dated July 6, 2020 of Mrs. Gregoria Nilda Abunal, submitting report of real property tax delinquencies as of December 31, 2019. Disposition. On motion duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Panlunsod for the Treasurer to proceed with the sending of demand letters to delinquent real property owners. So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay, any second?
Item number 10, the last item, is letter dated July 27, 2020 of His Honor the City Mayor, requesting for a separate resolution authorizing the City Mayor to negotiate and contract loans with the Development Bank of the Philippines, Land Bank of the Philippines, and LPD, Lending Investor Corporation. Disposition on motion of representation duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Panlunsod to request the city budget officer and acting city administrator to submit the estimated borrowing capacity of the city and the amortization schedule pertaining thereto. So move, Madam Chair.
Any second? So this matter
And second disposition, Madam Chair, for the information of the body, this matter is scheduled for another hearing on August 6, 2020 at 9 o'clock in the morning, inviting all the concerned financial institutions to present their proposal. So,
Any second? Okay. The secretary is so instructed to invite the bank managers.
the three lending institutions, Madam Chair. So that ends my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Del Castillo. Next item.
The report of the Committee on People Empowerment and NGO Accreditation.
Honorable Rosales.
Morning. May I request acknowledgement of the report of
Your
the Committee
report.
on People Empowerment.
Your report is acknowledged.
The meeting was held July 29, 2020. There was no quorum. So may I request that this body be converted as a committee of the whole? May I so move, Madam
is
Chair.
converted as a committee of the whole.
Only 2 items were taken up, which was taken simultaneously. First, the letter dated July 14, 2020 of Ms. Evangeline Alinday of Makawili JC Foundation submitting the additional requirements for their accreditation. And second, the letter dated July 6, 2020 of Engineer Rolando Campillos, City Government Department Head, submitting report on Makawili JC Foundation. May I proceed to the disposition, Madam Chair?
Proceed.
On motion of the Honorable Arroyo, duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang as a committee of the whole to direct the Makawili JC Foundation to complete additional requirements for accreditation of the said foundation, such as the BIR registration. Second, affidavit of cease and desist from further doing activities until such time that the said project is already approved by the Sangguniang Panlunsod. Submission of proof of homeowners association, and advise the landowner to secure first the necessary permit for the development of the area into a community housing project, and also to cease and desist from receiving money from the would-be buyers. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
That ends my report.
There's another advice na nandun. Number 4.
There's another disposition I have missed, Madam Chair. The committee also referred the second matter, which is the letter of Engineer Campillos, to refer it to the Committee on Land Use for information and appropriate action. I so move, Madam Chair.
Okay, this referred to the Committee on Land Use. Next item. Thank you, Honorable Rosales.
The letter dated July 28, 2020 from Mr. Frank Mendoza as City Budget Officer, submitting the summary of supplemental budget number 1, indicating the corresponding ordinances for each item of appropriation.
This is in compliance with your request, Councilor Marisa Arroyo. Okay, Honorable. Okay, the Secretary is instructed to give a copy of the letter of the City Budget Officer to Honorable Marisa Arroyo. And to all who are interested to get a copy, just ask the City Secretary. Next item.
The letter dated August 3, 2020 from Mr. Rodel Nicolas Sora of Barangay San Francisco.
This matter is referred
For
to
resettlement.
Committee on Housing. Next.
The letter dated July 30, 2020 from Mr. John Joel Haudal, Site Acquisition Specialist, SMART, with respect to
This is addressed to the Committee on Public
Committee
Utilities.
on Public Utilities, ma'am.
So refer to Pakul ba gani? Refer to the Committee on Public Utilities.
The proposed ordinance of the Honorable Elmer S. Baldemoro, codifying the policies and programs on persons with disabilities.
Councilor Elmer Baldemoro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, last session, there was a comment pertaining to the community-based rehabilitation specialist. There was a question on the term used as specialist. Madam Chair, this was the term used by the National Council on Disability Affairs on page 16, Ms. Tin. So, and also on the question of the balance and efficiency of service. So, with that, Madam Chair, I included page 16.
Page
Yeah.
16.
Included that the barangay may recommend more than one CBRS depending on their needs, subject to the approval of the City Mayor. The question of the Honorable Abunal pertaining to those large barangay. And also on the efficiency, Madam Chair, I add the City Government will continuously train the CBRS to fully equip and capacitate to perform its function. On the term, Madam Chair, yun na po kaya itong ginagamit na term. Although they man sinasabing specialist, but then they had a basic training. Parehas man lang yan, Madam Chair, kang ginagamit na term sa BNS, Barangay Nutrition Scholar. They are not scholar, they are only a worker. Sa term lang pong ginagamit.
Volunteer.
And pertaining to the proposal, Madam Chair, to elevate the office into a department, the implementing rules and regulation of RA 10070, the Republic Act institutionalizing the mechanism on the implementation of RA 7277 on Magna Carta for disabled person. It says, Madam Chair, that paragraph 5 provides that if a province, city, and municipality is financially capable and not exceeded the personal services limitation, the local sanggunian may elevate the organization and staffing of the PIDAW. So, pwede man, Madam Chair, na-elevate ang PIDAW into a department. And with the recent consultation with the mayor, sinabi po niya na may man sa iyang problema kung gigibuhon department ang PIDAW. With that, Madam Chair, may I move for the approval of the proposed ordinance.
May I second? Okay, before the second, any comment from the members? Honorable Miles Arroyo.
Chair, I would object on the passage of this ordinance, specifically on the creation of a department. Like I said, Madam Chair, the creation of a department would only increase expenditure on the overhead aspect of the delivery of the service. At pula ang complement required, magkakaigwang department head, na sa hiling ko, sa nature kang pangangaipo, kang sektor, kang persons with disabilities, ang kaipuhan tapo, dagdagan ng pondo, whatever additional fund that we would have for our persons with disabilities is direct service sa INDA. Bako pong pagtaon ng mga sweldo, paglangkaw kang mga posisyon, kang mga taong matapos sa iyan. Right now, igo po kitang sufficient number of personnel. Ano po ang, what purpose would really be served in making the head of PIDAW a department head? Sa iling ko po, Mayo, Madam Chair, because like I said, pag department po ang i-create the issue that must be responded to is an issue that is felt by every citizen. In other words, directly benefited ang every citizen, like issue on health, that's why we have Department of Health. Issue on environment, that's why we have the ENRO, the City ENRO. Tapos na mga departments, Madam Chair, really serve the needs of the entire constituent. We are not belittling the services needed by our brothers and sisters who are with disabilities, but the more prudent use of the resources that we have ay bako para idagdag sa mga sweldo, iralangkaw ang mga posisyon, kundi itao talagang direct services sa mga intended beneficiaries. I think we have enough departments in the city, we have enough bureaucracy in the city. Dapat pakarayon tapo the service, not in increasing the size of our bureaucracy. So kung ano man ang dagdag na kwarta na igwa kita for our persons with disabilities, ilagta po sa mga direct services sa INDA. I really believe the creation of a department is not necessary. Thank you, Madam Chair. Therefore, I'm registering my opposition on that basis. I'd like to clarify that in all other aspects of that proposed ordinance, mayo pong opposition, because in fact, most of those services are already being delivered, only that we need to strengthen the delivery of such services. But the strengthening will not happen na maglaag po kitang department head, magibo kitang department for that particular agency. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other comment? Honorable Del Castillo.
On the other aspect of the ordinance, I agree. But on the creation of a department, I will object. I've already mentioned this during the previous deliberation of the matter. And we must remember, Madam Chair, that we are approaching the 45% maximum personnel services limitation. If we will be creating another department, we will already be exceeding the mandatory ceiling prescribed under Section 325 of the Local Government Code. So, pag nag-abot kita naman sa 45% personal services limitation, dahil na kita makahiro, dahil na kita nga maka-increase. Even the implementation of the SL5, dahil na kita makahiro. Why create another department when we can just channel our resources to all programs pertaining to the sector? I believe that the present setup of the office can handle the programs pertaining to the to PWDs. So why not channel all these applications to this program that will directly benefit the sector, than creating another department which will add up to the already top-heavy bureaucracy of the city.
Thank you, Honorable.
you.
Thank you, Honorable Del Castillo. Honorable Abunal, you were raising your hand, and then Honorable Del Rosal.
Madam Chair, I would be cautious about creating the department. Dahil ko po nahiling ang balanse na ang beneficiary mula sa 4,000 sa naman na tao kulaon na department compared to the other needs. Ang housing department, di ba? But ang urban po, kulaon na maray. Alagad ba ko itong di ampong department? Senior citizen nasa 17 mil and increases by 500 every year. Pero dahil po sa department, yung balance lang po na. Kaya, similarly, ang punto lang po duman sa creation ng department.
So the three of you are in agreeable with the other items in the ordinance, except for the creation of the Honorable Del Rosario. You were.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've listened to the arguments last week, or 2 weeks last week. Nagkagawa ko, Madam Chair, yung pag-aaral man na mayo man makakaangat sa sektor na ini, kundi si taong nakakamati. And the more na dapat na tanan ta sindaning atensyon. So with having a full-fledged na department head that will help the lot of these people, the better for us. Siguro dahil tayo mamamati, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Del Rosario. Honorable Rosales.
Madam Chair, I would support the creation of the department. However, it must be justified. Dapat talagang kinakaipuhan. Sa hiling ko, Madam Chair, the important question to be answered is, ano ang added value if you will make it into a department? And that, ano ang serbisyong dahil maitatao or maitatao kung iniyo department or bako? Otherwise, I share the sentiment of the Honorable Arroyo na we would be adding to the overhead of the services to be delivered by this sector. Again, I would support, pero sa hiling ko dapat may justify iniyo, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Rosales. There was a motion of the Honorable Baldemoro, and it was seconded, but there was an objection. So we go to the division of the House. Those who are in favor of the motion of the Honorable Baldemoro for the passage of the ordinance, kindly raise your right hand.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, those who are not in favor, 1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
so, Honorable Kylie, are you in favor? Huh? Abstain. Kasi nag-abstain. May nag-abstain. So, 11 lang. Those who are, can we repeat? Those who are in favor of the motion, kindly raise your right hand.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, and then against?
Against?
Si Doc Naris.
In favor?
In favor is Dr. Sani Ranyola, Honorable Kylie, Honorable Beltran, Honorable Albios, Honorable Vidal, Honorable Perez, and Honorable Baldemoro.
7, ma'am.
And Honorable Del Rosario.
7.
So the motion is carried. Next item. Next item.
The committee report of the joint hearing of the committees on appropriation and manpower and livelihood.
Committee on Honorable Rosales.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I request acknowledgement of the joint committee report of the Committee on Appropriations and the Committee on Manpower and Livelihood, held last August 3, yesterday.
Your report is acknowledged.
There was a quorum and 5 items were taken up. On the first item, a letter dated July 27, 2020 of His Honor, the City Mayor, submitting a proposed ordinance providing community employment for households whose livelihood was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And this was also taken up with item number 2, the proposed ordinance of the Honorable Del Rosario, an ordinance establishing the Naga City Emergency Employment Program, prescribing mechanisms in the implementation thereof, appropriating funds thereof, and for other purposes. May I proceed to the disposition?
Proceed.
After a lengthy deliberation, the committee resolved on motion of the Honorable Arroyo and duly seconded to recommend to the Sanggunian to refer the 2 proposals to our Metro Peso manager, Mr. June Mongoso, for his comment and the consolidation of the 2 proposals. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Okay, approved. Next item.
Item number 3, resolution number 2020-01 of the Naga City Health Board, entitled a resolution earnestly requesting His Honor, the City Mayor, to increase the honorarium of the members and Secretary of the Naga City Health Board from 500 pesos to 700 pesos, effective January 2020. May I proceed to the disposition, Madam Chair?
Proceed.
On motion of the Honorable Elmer Baldemoro, duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sanggunian to pass an ordinance reverting the amount of 50,400 pesos to be taken from trainings and seminar expenses account of the Naga City Health Board, and further appropriating the same to cover the increase in the honoraria of the members and secretary of the said board from 500 to 700 effective January 2020. May I request the co-chairman of the Naga City Health Board to make the formal motion.
Honorable Ranyola.
Ordinance be approved.
Any second? Okay, approved. Any comment? None? Approved. Next item.
Item number 4, letter dated July 16 of Mr. Hernani Soron, requesting for the passage of a resolution authorizing the charging against the current budget of the ESO the financial academic incentives of students and coaches who participated and won in various international competition held last November 2019. May I proceed to the disposition?
You may proceed.
On motion of the Honorable Elmer Baldemoro, seconded by Mr. Ricardo Responde, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sanggunian to pass a resolution authorizing the charging against the current budget of the ESO the academic incentives of students and coaches who participated and won in various international competition held last November 2019, chargeable against the current budget of the ESO. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Before this approval, and Honorable Del Castillo. Comment?
Madam
Query.
Chair, how much is involved in this authority to charge against the current occupation?
How much?
We can check from the record the request of the ESO and have it flashed, probably if it is available.
Tira.
46,000.
The total amount is 46,000 to be paid to the students of Naga City Montessori.
So the amount involved is only 46,000.
46.
Yes,
Thank you
Madam
very
Chair.
much, Madam.
Thank you. So on motion duly seconded, this is approved. Next item.
The last item is a barangay resolution number 2020 of Barangay Liboton, requesting the city government through the mayor and Sanggunian members and the Liga ng mga barangay for mobilization of the punong barangay and compensation for all barangay officials, including the barangay secretary, treasurer, accounting clerk, Sanggunian kabataan officials, etc., who physically report for work during the implementation of the ECQ relative to COVID-19 outbreak. May I proceed to the disposition?
You may proceed.
On motion of the Honorable Elmer Baldemoro, duly seconded, the committee resolved to recommend to the Sanggunian to direct the City Budget Office to check whether or not the claim of Barangay Liboton, which was granted, was already given, and if not, to assist Barangay Liboton to claim their assistance from the City Government of Naga. I so move, Madam Chair.
Second. Okay, approved.
That ends my report.
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Rosales. Next item.
The report of the Committee on Investment, Trade, Industry, and Economic Enterprise.
Honorable Perez. Your report is acknowledged.
The committee hearing was held last August 3, 2020, and took up two matters on the table. As there was no quorum, the committee would like to request to transform this body into a committee of the whole for the disposition of the items taken.
Okay, the Sanggunian is convened as a committee of the whole.
Item number 1, letter dated July 21, 2020 of His Honor, the City Mayor, this city, requesting for the passage of an ordinance establishing a stimulus package for businesses in Naga City, particularly the small entrepreneurs affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. May I go directly to the disposition?
Proceed.
Disposition. Subject to minor revisions is taken up in the committee hearing, which should appear in the final form of the proposed ordinance on motion of Honorable Jose C. Ranyola, MD, and collectively seconded. The body resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Panglunsod the passage of the proposed ordinance establishing a stimulus package for businesses in Naga City, particularly the small entrepreneurs affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. May I now move for the approval of said ordinance?
Any second to the motion? Okay, approved. Next.
May I now proceed to item number 2, letter dated July 21, 2020 of Mr. Raul Oliver, Executive Director, NCIB, submitting the revised draft of the Investment Incentive Code of the city. May I proceed to the disposition of the matter?
Proceed.
The body resolved to defer the matter for further review and amendment. That ends my report. Thank you very much.
This matter was referred. Deferred. Thank you, Honorable Perez. Deferred. Honorable Del Castillo.
Ibang dikit na sugot. I noticed that the report was written on the stationery of the Honorable Perez. So does it mean that it is not the report of the Sangguniang Palansod but the
Ayun,
office of
dapat.
the Honorable Perez?
I'm sorry that maybe because frankly I did this 2 o'clock in the morning as the meeting was held the day before on that day, and I
Yeah.
think this reached the secretariat on the first hour of today, kaya siguro nagdarali-dali, and
Sige na.
the e-copy that I sent was originally encoded. I mean, I have this e-copy of the stationery.
Oh, okay.
Then siguro nagka-oras. So, may I ask the Secretariat to reprint in the official stationery of the Sangguniang Palansod. And I also take responsibility for such omission. I hope this one would not be repeated. the
Thank
next
you,
time.
Honorable Perez. Kay Honorable Del Rosario.
Dapat doon na mo otro. We thank Council.
Day narugon kang iba.
Madam Chair, I'm a member of that committee on investment, trade, industry, and economic enterprise. However, I
But
was
you were
absent
absent.
yesterday, Madam Chair, because of personal reasons. All the committee hearings yesterday, I was absent. But
Yeah.
I support yung program na pig-expound kang Office of the Mayor, and that's a very laudable program.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Del Rosario. Next item.
The report of the Committee on Transport.
Honorable Del Rosario.
Inidyo ang pagkakaibatan duwa, si report mo, natapos mo alas 2 ng maagahon, alas 3. Ining report ko, nabasa ko lang mo yan, kaya man akong time na bagohon. Madam Chair, I move that we acknowledge the July 29 report of the Committee on Transport.
Your report is acknowledged.
There was a quorum. Several items were discussed. First item, Madam Chair, first endorsement dated July 7 from the Head Trimobile Task Force endorsing the new application for transfer of Trimobile franchise of the following as to the disposition, Madam Chair. Considering that all documents submitted are in order, complete, and duly endorsed by the Head of the Trimobile Task Force on motion of Honorable Del Castillo, duly seconded by Honorable Albius, the body resolved to recommend to Sangguniang Palansod passage of resolution granting approval of the transfer of Trimobile franchise of Timothy G. Borja from Gregorio B. Borja of Zone 5 Greenfield Street, Peñapalanza Avenue, Naga City. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Okay, approved.
Number 2, letter dated July 17, Mr. Frederick Reporsado, Terminal Manager, Bicol Central Station, submitting the eastbound terminal operational plan relative to the assumption of their office on the management of the said terminal. As to the disposition, considering that the submitted eastbound terminal operation is in pursuance to the City Ordinance on the assumption of the Bicol Central Station and its management, the body resolved to take note of it. And we thank Mr. Reporsado for for assuming the responsibilities is trusted to his office as far as the operations of the temporary eastbound terminal. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Okay, approved.
Number 3, letter dated July 13 of Mr. Rene F. Gumba, PSO, submitting report on the colorum padjak units operating at the Holy Rosary Major Seminary. I could recall, Councilor Badi, that all the 4 items in the letter of Mr. Gumba were disposed. First is that we endorse the same to the Barangay Council of Concepcion Grande for their comment. Second, the homeowners session, and I think the other 2. If the Secretary could take note of the letter of Mr. Gumba. Yaw niyan duman. Hindi lang na ibalik di sana. Ay sumubad naman dyan.
Any second? Okay, approved.
Number 4, letter dated June 19 of Police Colonel Servita, informing that they have one reported impounded trimobile for hire for the month of May 2020. As to the disposition, the body resolved to recommend to Sangguniang Palunsod to request from the PNP the police blotter of the impounded trimobile for hire, as it seems the owner thereof is no longer interested to redeem it, hence subject of probable revocation of the said franchise. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
Number 5, letter dated July 13 of Ms. Corazon Luistro requesting franchise renewal of her tricycle. As to the disposition, the body resolved to defer consideration of the request of Ms. Corazon Q. Luistro, considering lapses in the notice sent by the Secretariat. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Approve.
Number 6, letter dated July 2 of Mr. Leopoldo de los Santos Jr., II, requesting for cancellation of SP Resolution 2020-197 due to the fact that he wasn't able to acquire an available e-trike. Basahan ko na lang po ang The body resolved on motion of Honorable Del Castillo, duly seconded by Honorable Albius. The body resolved to recommend to Sangguniang Palunsod to give Mr. Leopoldo P. de los Santos Jr. of number 6 Caimito Street, Dangdang, Naga City, 30 days more to finally decide whether to continue with this request to convert into e-trike or just revert back to the regular trimobile. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Approve.
Number 7, letter dated July 14, Mr. Raymond N. Colombo requesting that he be allowed to transfer the trimobile franchise he bought to his name. Basahan ko na lang po ang on motion of Honorable Del Castillo, jointly seconded by Honorable Albius and Punong Barangay Galido, the body resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palunsod to deny the request of Mr. Raymond Colombo for the transfer of trimobile franchise because of some violations of our existing ordinances. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? Approve.
Number 8, letter dated July 16 of Ms. Fe Clidera requesting to renew trimobile franchise. On motion of Honorable Del Castillo, duly seconded by Punong Barangay Galido, the body resolved to recommend sa Sangguniang Palunsod to request Mrs. Fe Clidera to secure a written document from LTO as proof that her trimobile unit is updated in its registration. Hence, there is no reason for it to be impounded. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
Number 9, letter dated July 15, Mr. Dindo Avila requesting to register the trimobile franchise in his name. Ini po may facts and findings, diretso na disposition. On motion of Honorable Del Castillo, duly seconded by Punong Barangay Galido, the body resolved to recommend to the Sangguniang Palunsod to request the Secretariat to present the minutes in the committee hearing as proof that this positive portion thereof provides that Mr. Dindo M. Avila will pay 30,000 instead of the amnesty fee of 55,000. Kaya padala po sa records kani, papaapod mi giraray sinda to show whether there was a disposition na ang ibabayad niya is instead of 55, 30,000 sana. So this is an administrative matter, Madam Chair. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
Number 10, undated letter of Ms. Peña Francia Amoroso Bondarchuk, President, Bio Renewable Energy and Natural Technologies Green Switch Transport Corporation, requesting letter of endorsement to LTFRB. As to the disposition, Madam Chair, on motion of Honorable Baldemoro, jointly seconded by Honorable Albius and Punong Barangay Galido, the body resolved to recommend to Sangguniang Palunsod to endorse to the LTFRB the existing route approved by the Sangguniang Palunsod and to furnish LTFRB of the letter intent of Ms. Bondarchuk. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second? approved.
That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable El Rosario. Next item.
New business. The letter dated July 28, 2020 of the Honorable City Mayor requesting for an ordinance waiving penalties and surcharges on business
Ways
taxes.
and Means.
The letter dated August 4, 2020 of the Honorable City Mayor requesting for an ordinance reverting to unappropriated
Committee
balance
on APRO.
amount of 20 million. The letter dated August 3, 2020 from El Rey Imperial with respect to the cancellation of Trimobile franchise.
Committee on Transport.
The undated letter, the letter dated July 28, 2020 of Mr. Dick Mickelson D. Teclo of the Viajero Hotel.
Viajero
Be
Hotel.
allowed to pay only one half of the stipulated
Ways and Means.
monthly rental. The letter dated August 3, 2020 from Isis Dayon Biana Torre, General Manager, Primus Hotel Incorporated, requesting exemption of wine pairing with food at the restaurant
Exemptions.
on
Exemptions.
the prohibition of group drinking.
Exemptions sa in. Laws and ordinances. Ay, kailan may ordinance na baga kita? Exceptions from the ordinance.
Yes, ma'am. Group
Oh.
drinking.
Seeking exemptions from the laws and ordinances? Yeah, can we just answer kasi?
Any other matter?
Okay, Honorable Miles Arroyo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Group of drinking. But the one shared is only consumed daw by one guest. Look at the lower portion. So it's not two. It's not. Yes. That's also covered. Okay, Honorable Abunal.
Sir,
Sa mga-
baka kaipuan ta pong mag-refer duman sa what was it? DTI or something circular provided by Mr. Sia. Ginamit niya po kang mag-present ng request for the amendment sa ordinance on curfew. Actually, part kasi request niya would be to allow beverages, alcoholic beverages be served with meals. Part po yan nung kuwan. Kaya we might have to refer to that. Kundi dahil so specific request niya was for the amendment sa quorum, yun lang ang take up me na pig-actionan. But part of the
Request.
DTI memorandum, I think, Madam Chair, would be to permit up to 2 servings provided
sir.
they are taken during meals. Pero let's refer to that material.
What committee was it taken?
Ang pig-take up po, ito kayang request sa quorum
Sa
I mean sa
curfew.
curfew. Dahil yun ang immediate request. But actually part of the memorandum na pig-site niya also included yung
So may relevance po digdi sa letter request na ito.
yes.
When was it? Maybe you can take it up with the request of the Mr. Shah. What committee was it referred to? Saan to? Laws and ordinances? Curfew? Okay, Honorable Del Castillo, maybe you can take this up together with the request of the MNCCI President?
Actually, Madam Chair, we have already passed the ordinance changing the time of the curfew imposed in the city. From
12 to-
originally from 9 o'clock in the evening to 5 o'clock in the morning.
And then you change it from
With
12
the
to 4.
request of the Metro Naga Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and based on a circular issued by the Department of Trade and Industry, we grant the request that it be made instead of 9 to 5, 12 to 4,
12 to 4.
12 midnight to 4 o'clock in the morning. But it doesn't treat on any other matter, just the changing of the time of the curfew. We did not deal on the exemption from the previous ordinance that we passed banning group drinking within the city. So, with that, Madam Chair, since our ordinance is clear enough and there is no need for any interpretation, I think this is just a matter of implementation. And if that matter is within the prohibited acts under the ordinance, so they should try to follow what the ordinance is prohibiting. Otherwise, they might be subjected to penalties. So, sunod na lang si ordinansa. The ordinance was passed to protect the health of Nagueños. So, para mintras malayan, Madam Chair, na abnormal pa ang sitwasyon, pag-abot kang panahon na normal na, di
So we'll just write the
yes.
letter
They should follow what the ordinance says.
So the city secretary is so instructed to write the letter sender. Honorable Miles Raquidaroyo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think the letter sender is actually asking for assistance in how they will be able to comply. Because I think they are confused as to its applicability on this particular situation that they presented.
Because these are special occasions.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Drinking on
to my
special
mind,
occasions.
yes, to my mind, the ordinance, the intent of the ordinance is clear. So that if they believe this particular situation is not covered by that ordinance, then they should do so because we are not supposed to interpret our own ordinances. Pag napasarta na kaya, Madam Chair, dahil na yan dapat magbalik sa kung ano ang gusto sabihin ta. Otherwise, subject yan sa revision, amendment, and discretion of the lawmaking authority. So, kung sa iling ninda, yan covered, basta clear po baga si reason kang sa tong ordinance is really to prevent group drinking, especially itong nag-share ng mga baso. Because duman sa explanatory note kang si ordinance, ang sabi ta, saro yan sa way of transmitting the COVID-19 kung share nin saro sa ng baso, which is the culture in inuman in our community. So, kung sa iling po ninda, because we cannot say, dahil na po pwedeng sabihin na daiyan covered because it's not stated in our ordinance. No? So, kung sa iling po ninda, daiyan covered because that is really far from the objective of the ordinance, then they can do so. Kung may magdako po sa inda, then it will be clarified by the court.
Okay.
Para, ang importante lang po, hilingon ninda si purpose kang si ordinance.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Honorable
Madam.
Miles Arroyo. Kindly state that also in the letter, the SP Secretary is so instructed. Honorable Del Rosario and then Honorable
yes,
Perez.
Yes, Madam Chair. I think yung letter was addressed to the office of the mayor. Primarily, sila yung sasagot niya. So probably, LGU Naga is being represented by the city mayor. So, sila lang, Madam Chair, ang magsagot niya. Yeah.
So the mayor, so we were forwarded.
But this is a good indication, Madam Chair. Meaning, siniseryoso nila yung mga ordinances natin. We thank Primus for his letter. Thank you.
Okay, so forward this to the office of the mayor for his comments. Okay, next item.
The letter dated August 4, 2020 of the Honorable City Mayor requesting for authority to enter into a deed of donation with the Naga City Police Station 2.
Ano to? Pin? Ano yan? Deed of donation. Okay. Silote yan. We already have a previous previous ano ba yan?
Deed of donation in favor of the PNP for establishment of
Deed of
substation
donation
number
to the city PNP. Okay. Almeida property. Okay. Yes, Honorable Del Castillo.
Matter. It should be transferred either to SBO or unfinished business. Otherwise, it will be a referral to committee because
To
it
refer
falls
this
under
to
new business.
the committee?
Yes. But if the body will deliberate on this matter, it should be transferred either to SBO or unfinished business so that we can dispose of it.
Okay, but this can also be referred to a particular committee if you want.
If it should be deliberated upon by the committee, then it should be referred to the particular committee, particularly on the committee.
But you are
on city
proposing
property.
that we can dispose of this matter and that be transferred to SBO? Honorable Elmer?
This matter was submitted not as urgent.
As
so we
urgent.
might
So-
refer this to the Committee on City Properties.
Committee on City Properties. Next item.
Other matters, the letter dated July 20, 2020 of the Honorable City Mayor with respect to the claim for replenishment of aid to indigents and crisis situation or ICE.
Ano yan? I think this, isa yan bigyan, no? There is, you need to review the systems and procedures on how AX should be. So we take note. Oh, sige. So we take note of this. Next item.
Nominal voting.
Okay, Honorable Del Castillo.
Want to remind my colleagues on the observance of the provisions of our internal rules of procedure. Under our internal rule, the day and time of the committee hearing for each and every committee is stated in the rules. So, I think as a courtesy, if any committee or the chairman of any committee will use the date and time
The time and the
of
date.
a particular committee, at least the
Inform.
chair of the committee should be informed so that there will be no overlapping of
Of the schedule.
the scheduled committee hearing of each committee. So just a reminder to my colleague. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Honorable Del Castillo. Please take note of the different committee hearings, scheduled committee hearings, the day and time, so that the other chair of the committee will also be informed na gagamito nindo si oras ninda. Okay, Honorable Del Rosario?
Sa kuya man, Madam Chair, yung kung pwede lang, at the start of the week, i-prepare na si agenda for specific committees. So, yaw na dyan. Depende na lang yan sa chairman kung ma-proceed siya kang committee hearing na daig. Okay, Madam Chair, nagpasalamat ako sa committee support members kasi daw na alas 8:30 meeting me, pig-serve ang notice alas 8, nag-aarabot pa. Pero ako, Madam Chair, di ko nagkukulang. Lunes pa lang sinasabi ko na magkakaiba kaming committee hearing na bala lang sa araw ko man loaded man dyan, Secretary. Pero just to matapos ang ang pinupropose ko, Madam Chair, is Monday pa lang i-prepare na kan Secretariat si mga committee hanggang Friday. So ang chairman na lang ang masabi ko, dahil ako madagos kang committee hearing ko sa Webes, dahil ako madagos sa Merkules, at least nakasalang na. Yan ang proposal ko, Madam Chair. Maiwasan man na sige kaming follow up sa Secretariat na ma-committee hearing ako sa Webes, ma-committee, pwedeng i-move mo na lang sa araw. Para gusto ko man gusto ko man magsunod naman sa 3-week notice rule. 3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
Okay. Thank you,
Yun na yan.
Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Del Rosario. The SPIC Secretariat, especially the one in charge sa mga committee hearings, kindly pay attention and take note. Honorable Miles Arroyo.
Madam Chair, although this is not part of our agenda, this matter, may I suggest, Madam Chair, that an amendment for the consideration of the Committee on Rules, mag-amend po kita kang sa itong rules, ilaagta na committee hearings na ipapaapod ta, dapat po siguro may date na alam ka na. Madali man lang yan, halimbawa Monday, gabos na committee chair, mapasabi na po sa secretariat kan sa indang schedule for committee hearing. Basta mamimit lang sa 3-day deadline, 3-day notice. Baka pwedeng araw po kayo, kasi kung minsan nare-reparo ko rin po, I also noticed from the secretary, naghahabol din po sinda sa mga requested committee hearings na kang mga councilors. Na nahiling ko rin po yan, naghahabol talaga sinda. So, baka dapat pag-isipan po, may I invite the chair of the Committee on Rules to look into this. Kasi sa nagiging garo difficulty ta. Yes, thank you, Madam.
May in charge man kaya baga sa secretariat, may in charge na tao kung sisay ang sa mga committee hearings, right, Secretary Hill? Ang chair kang committee. Sometimes, kaya lang kumisan kay Pon, i-remind manggirare siya kang mga staff. Honorable Baldemoro?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, may schedule po ba kitang
Itinao.
For the committee hearing? Ang nagigilang pong problema is pag na-schedule na bako duman sa schedule niyang time and day. Dahil may mga committee po kaya na regular itong paapod din ng committee hearing. However, may mga committee na day man piripirmi and nagkakataon na si piniling schedule kang chairman igwa man yung naka-schedule na committee hearing. Siguro, Madam Chair, maging watch out man yan kang secretariat na kung bako duman sa prepared schedule, ihapot ngo na kung may kasabay. Dahil may mga slot na naka-schedule duman. Kung mayo man na naka-schedule, pwede. Pero kung may schedule, day dapat. Example, Madam Chair, last Wednesday, absent nga ni ko duman sa Committee on People Empowerment dahil yaon ako sa Committee on Transport. 8:30 si Committee on Transport, 9 o'clock itong Committee on People Empowerment. So, araw kayo ng mga schedule. So, sa iling ko, Madam Chair, itong pag-schedule ta kang mga committee hearing, pig sabay-sabay itong mga committee na may piripirming committee hearing and itong mga bihira man mag-committee hearing. Ang kaipuhan lang garo, iayos lang kung sakali na may paapod na committee hearing, i-check ang secretariat, ano daw may kasabay ini. Kung mayo, pwede. Pero kung may kasabay, ihapot ngo na kung kung pwede itong isabay dahil may mga member na halos pararehas on the same committee.
Okay.
Thank you,
Pero
Madam
siguro, anuhon taman si mga staff nindo, kang mga konsyas, na make it the point ba anuhan man ninda, naaara mo ninda, with the, coordinate also with the SP Secretariat, kita tuyang mga staff man, para at least hinda na ang ma-check, kaya itong sa tuyang mga staff, hinda naman ang ma-check sa Secretariat, or they can remind the Secretariat na, uy, may committee hearing ang sa kuyang bossing, baka pwedeng tapos araw kang comment ni Honorable Baldemoro hilingon ay member ang sa kuyang boss digdi sa kudigdi sabay, so perhaps we can also coordinate si staff kang mga konsyal can coordinate with the SP Secretariat in charge of the committee hearings. Honorable Miles Arroyo.
Yes, baka po ba ko sa Secretariat, Madam Chair, kasi kung minsan, halimbawa, sa sarong committee, halimbawa po si Councilor Abunal, would want to ask, igwa bang committee hearing digdiyo, paano po kung at the time nag-apot si Councilor Abunal, mayong committee hearing duman, pero si committee, na dapat talagang duman mga committee hearing, nagpa-apod on that day.
Nag-decide.
Di ganun naagawan na lugod si tama na schedule for him. So baka si mga siguro, Madam Chair, si mga secretaries ta, halimbawa gusto
Si mga
magpa-apod.
secretary iyo.
Yes, kung gusto magpa-apod kang, halimbawa po ako, gusto ko magpa-apod committee hearing o na-schedule na bakong sa kuya, si staff ko hakapoton si chair, sa itong committee na sa iya itong schedule na ito, kung mapa-apod ka po bang hearing niya na week. So kung magsabing din pwede nang sabihin sa secretary na sa kuya na ini, this can be the schedule for my committee hearing.
Yes.
So baka si mga secretaries na po, baka siguro sa secretariat, it will be difficult for the
Kaya
secretary.
si mga secretaries na ni kang
Yes.
mga konsyal. We have 4, 'di ba, 4 per councilors. Baka ang saro diyan in charge na sa mga araw kay ining committee hearing. Aram ko ang ibang councilors yan ang ginigibo. So yan na lang garo. Okay, we take note of all these comments. Honorable Albert, and next item.
Earlier, Your Honors, we deferred the letter dated July 29 of the
Ay,
Honorable
why
City
na
Mayor
ito?
with respect to the expropriation.
Yes, the appropriation.
Mr.
Item-
Frank Mendoza sent the data unless you prefer an official letter for this. The charging will be the local development
I
fund.
think may
facility.
tinao siyang kitin, paki-flash siya. Diyan. May man tinao.
Yeah, the source of fund, Your Honors, is the local development fund, facilities and infrastructure fund. The market value is 214,118 and 40 centavos.
Would you like it to be informal letter from the City Budget Officer, Honorable Del Castillo?
An ordinance for this purpose, Madam Chair. I believe that there should be a formal document to support our ordinance. So with that, I think if it is already appropriated, then a certification coming from the city accountant that that fund is still available, so that it will form part of the ordinance that will be passing. For me, I cannot just rely on a text message when it comes to an official legislative act. There should be a document to support whatever action of the Sangguniang Panel. So with that, I move that we defer
This matter is deferred.
pending receipt of the certification
The submission
as
of...
to the specific source of fund.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam.
So we will wait for the submission of the certificate from the City Budget Officer and the City Accountant that the funds are still available. So deferred. Next item.
Nominal voting.
Honorable Baldemoro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I move that all the approved resolution and ordinance be transferred to nominal voting and approved.
Any second? Okay, next item.
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Any second? The session is adjourned. Okay, sir, na gutom na ko.